I decided to do a panel discussion as I am working on my Distinguished Toastmaster project. Brian Fagan, a Toastmaster in Division D, was working on his project, putting together material for Club Extension Committee, Club Sponsor, and Club Mentor. He was doing this so there would be material in one place, and potential mentors, sponsors, and even extension committee members could go to the D42 website to get this information instead of walking into a new club that is forming and not knowing what to do. He completed this as his DDM project. Part of his project was to include the training, but his committee decided it was too big. Therefore, he asked me if I could take this project on. I decided, even though I was scared, I decided to take it on. My entire project, I will be presenting on March 30th at the Club Coach Mastermind at 7 p.m. If all of you would like to attend, that would be great. I'm going to be starting out today with a panelist. I would first like to introduce Eugene Sakat. I met Eugene as part of the Club Extension Committee. I had no idea what the Club Extension Committee was or what I was getting myself into. And that is where I met Eugene. He was the Club Growth Director at the time. My next panelist is Marcy Fields. I met Marcy when I was doing a tour prior to my division director year. I was going out and looking at clubs, and I met Marcy there. It was a great way to use our Zoom being online. I could just zoom into Calgary. Marcy will be answering questions on the club mentor role, but I have a surprise. She will also be answering some questions on the club sponsor role as she is organizing a new club over in Scotland, I believe. The next panelist is Tess McCormick. Tess is a brand new Toastmaster from United Talkmasters. I met Tess as I was the club mentor, still am the club mentor for United Talkmasters. Tess did compete in a contest this last week where she placed second in the international speech contest. Or third. It was third. Sorry, it was third. But she did marvelous. She did great. So please welcome all my panelists. And thank you so much for being a part of my panel today. We're going to start with each panelist introducing themselves and how they came into being on the Club Extension Committee, a mentor, sponsor, and with Tess, how she likes being a new member of a club. So please join me in welcoming Eugene first.
Good morning, BLT Toastmaster. How did I came about to Club Extension Committee? Well, as a club growth director, it is automatic that I have to deal with it. Initially, we should be looking for volunteers to take on that particular role under the CGD. However, we were short of volunteers at the time. So I took on the lead for the club extension, and that's how I met Debbie, and you heard the rest of the story.
Thank you, Eugene. And Marcy, can you please introduce yourself? And I know you do some fantastic social media as well.
Thanks, Debbie. Thanks for the invitation to participate in this panel. Starting new clubs is one of Toastmasters' mandates, and either sponsoring, mentoring a club, both can fall in requirements of what you need to accomplish your to achieve your distinguished Toastmaster designation. I'm very fortunate that I have a mentor in Christina Cruz, who has just guided me along through the process and let me know, because as a new Toastmaster, I had no idea on the journey that I was embarking on. She recognized the opportunity that I needed to have this mentorship time to complete my DTM. And she was in the process of forming a new club, bringing it together, an online club, and they needed a club mentor. And she reached out that invitation, and the Katrina then provided the opportunity, assigned that role to me, because to become either a sponsor or mentor, you need approval from the district leadership team. And that's where I came here, and I love it. I love the whole opportunity that exists with this. Back to you.
Thank you, Marcy. Yes, I can totally relate to that. When I came on the Toastmaster scene back in 2014, I did not know anything or anybody. I was so afraid. And now look at me. I am a club mentor. I am now a club sponsor. And I've taken on area director roles, division director roles, and who knows what's to come next. Tess, please introduce yourself to everyone and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you, Debbie. My name is Tess McCormick. I'm president of United Talkmasters, which is a workplace-based club here in Calgary for United Way. And we are a brand new club, which means that all 20 of us have absolutely no idea what we're doing. We didn't know the difference between a Toastmaster and a table topic speaker 6 months ago. So thanks to Debbie and her amazing mentorship, we all know at least the basics of how to give an evaluation and how to run a meeting. And now we know what contests are. That's been really exciting, particularly for me. So what do I like the most about being a new member is learning new things and having Deb as a mentor, not only on the club leadership side, but she's also been helping me to develop my path and what I would like to accomplish as an individual Toastmaster as well. Thank you, Deb.
United Talkmasters is a really fun club to be a part of. If any of you would like to go visit, it is fun. They love their table topics.
Me too.
They just love their table topics. I am going to go around again, and I'm going to start asking questions. And I'm going to start with Eugene this time regarding the Club Extension Committee. One of the big topics in the district is about finding new clubs. How do we find those leads for new clubs?
Thank you, Debbie. That is a very good question. And I've been asked by other districts on how we did that. During my term as CGD, that is I would say, one of our success from last year. And then, is that the only one that you want me to answer, or you want me to answer the second question as well?
No, just answer that first one for right now.
All right, how do we find the leads? Well, it is common that we get that from recommendation from other leaders. So we took that. From the Club Extension Committee, we have formed, I think, a good group of 3 to 5 at one point. We got some leaders from each division. We tried to, but we only got a few from each division. And from that group, that's how we get some of the leads we get from the religious group, or from school, or from Safeway and other businesses. But the one that was very effective, which is surprisingly is the leads and prospective club that we get from TI itself. That's where we got the 3 success that we had chartered last year. One is United Talk Toastmaster. How did I find Stuart Clark, who was starting that club for you, Tess? I found it in the Leads and Perspective Club. Stuart never contacted me, never contacted anybody in District 42, but he went straight to TI, and that's how we got it. TI was able to record it, and I called Stuart right away. Stuart was so surprised when he heard from me that, oh, okay, I just submitted that. Of course, that's one of the success. Being responsive and getting into that lead perspective, which I know, Debbie, I assigned you to call those people, and right away. We cannot wait for a long period because they are looking for help, and that's how we succeeded on getting that. Another one is Safeway. We got that from Lead and Perspective Club as well. The others, it didn't really materialize, but we got a lot of lead from Leads and Perspective Club from TI itself. That was the first and foremost, and some people are still surprised to this day, but I think being responsive in getting those lead from that system is the key.
Yes. And there's even Kepler. They started too. Yeah, I think we had 3 new clubs last year. That was really, really awesome to see.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Marcy, I'd like to know, why is a club mentor so important for a new club when starting out?
Thanks, Debbie. I think Tess really summed that up well as a new member. When you start a new club, the majority of your members have no Toastmasters experience. In order to form a club, the majority of your members, I believe it's 18 or something, need to be new Toastmasters. Therefore, you need experienced Toastmasters to guide them along the way. And that's where your sponsors and your mentors come in. It's a great opportunity as you've advanced along your Toastmasters journey to share the knowledge and the experience that you have acquired with newcomers. Isn't mentoring just one of the most fun things you can do as somebody grabs hold of it and discovers all of the benefits that there can be in being a Toastmasters, but also in developing a really strong club and having engaging meetings that people come to and they go away thrilled and motivated for the rest of their week. I know that for a number of members at my home clubs, that is their key thing, is showing up. And that's one of the roles as a club mentor that you take on, is to build that enthusiasm and provide the opportunity for others to learn not only the roles, but the benefits and different things that come from being a Toastmaster.
Thank you. I know I've learned a lot about being a club mentor the first time around. I went in blind, not knowing what to expect. And I gained so much experience, and I developed so many relationships over there too. And talking about relationships, Tess, I know you touched on this in your introduction. What was your experience like working with both the club mentors and the sponsors?
That's a great question, actually, because I've done some reflection on that over the last couple of weeks as I've prepared to be part of this panel. I was not one of the super very first group of people in United Talkmasters. You were assigned, and Susan Mercer Thornhill, who's our sponsor, was also assigned before I became involved, and I was not president until a few months ago. Our president left. So I actually, until fairways in didn't realize the difference between a sponsor and a mentor. So that was that was good. You were both so immensely helpful. We were just thrilled to get all the help we could. The experience working with both of you has been so positive, foundational, really, in getting us set up. I mean, you have been more involved with me personally, which has been fantastic, as I mentioned before, from both the club level and from a personal journey level. I've learned so much. It's been great. I know I can go to you anytime I have a question about, is table topic supposed to come before the speech? How does that work again? What's an evaluator? We have 20 people who don't know how to evaluate, and these are people we work with. So you're like, I don't know if I really want to say anything. You've really helped coach us through all of that. So it's been very positive working with that. And I don't know, have I answered your question?
You sure did.
Okay.
And remember, there's no right or wrong answer here either. It's all about your perspective. And I've really enjoyed working with United Talkmasters. And I hope to continue working with United Talkmasters. Like I said before, it's a fun club. Marcy, I'm going to go back to you. And I'm going to touch on a little bit of the club sponsor role. You are a club sponsor for a new club out in Scotland. Why did you become a club sponsor for that club?
One of the wonderful things is as new members come into your club, and when you find out their goals and dreams, you become aware of opportunities that exist. This last September, Ola Okamboa joined our club. She attends, at that time, she was a master's student at Gordon Ramsay University. And in that time, she's just thrilled about being a Toastmaster. And the Toastmaster experience leads her to inviting. She's got 2 or 3 guests at every meeting that she's inviting to Florida. And a lot of them are university students. As we talked and she's progressed, she has already completed 2 levels in her first path. And in that, she realizes, I want to get a DTM. And as a personal mentor for her, I have the opportunity to say, well, one of the things you need is this, is to become either a club sponsor or a DTM. We looked at what was occurring in Aberdeen. They only have 1 club there. And of that 1 club, there are only, they only meet in person currently. Therefore, the opportunity existed with the student body at Aberdeen University, at Robert Gordon University, to expand. We did some talking with Catherine Sekundiak and David Woodcock, our regional advisors, who provided me with the information, because the meetings were going to be hybrid meetings, to allow the variety of students to come in, that it therefore needed to charter in the district where it was going to be. Another opportunity to expand my network. And I reached out and got in touch with Danny Banks, who is currently the club growth director in District 71. And he was thrilled, because this wasn't a list or a lead that came up, but was another opportunity. He says, this is like a Christmas gift. And I'm hoping that we come together with that. But as a result, what brought me to sponsoring was that I've got 3 members in my club: Ola, who is going for that, Irma, who needs to be a mentor, Arobo, who is going to be the club mentor also, and myself in working and forming our team in starting this new club. We've got great support from the president of the Students' Union, because increased communication opportunities and public speaking was one of her platforms when she ran for office. Therefore, they're really behind us in putting this together. We're at a team of 5 now to start the meetings. We've got our first demo meetings planned for April the 14th. But the coming together was to see, as I mentioned earlier, these 3 other members of my club have this dream of it becoming distinguished Toastmasters, but all very servant motivated. And how can we help? And it's a great opportunity to help and share your Toastmaster knowledge.
So that club did not come in as a lead anywhere. It
No.
was an opportunity. Like,
Yes,
you went forward with that, from what I understand.
yes.
Wow. Just think, club leads can come from anywhere. They just don't have to come into the district, into TI. You can go out and get those leads. And talking about relationships with club mentors and club sponsors, Eugene, how do you determine who is the right fit for a club sponsor, who is the right fit for a club mentor? How do you do that? It's not just about, it's not just about, I need that for a DTM, put me there. How do you just determine that?
I'll give you the secret. So here it is. So let's start with, how do I find a club sponsor and club mentor itself? I can tell you it is challenging. One technique that I have used is look at everybody in our district who have finished up to level 3 or level 4. You wouldn't believe how many emails, how many calls I made to find those leaders who are open to taking on the club sponsor or club mentor. I had a lot of failures, but I had some success as well. Talking to them, that's how I try to gauge the, what do you call this? The personality. There is the secret right there. So the personality comes first, and then of course matching it to the club that we're trying to start. I am very involved in United when I was talking to Stuart. I was very involved in Susan when we're starting Kepler. I was very involved in Safeway as well. So knowing the relationship or knowing the personality of the people that we are helping matches who the people that we will put onto the lead itself. I think, Debbie, you can relate to some of
Yes.
this. We had a lot of discussion on this where, does this match you? No. Maybe this one? Oh, sure. Okay, I gave you that. And I gave you United. It looks like it is a success. You work well with Tess and Stuart. I can see that. We started with Safeway where we got Brian into that one. And I think that really blend well with Safeway. With Kepler, we have other people like Susan. In PwC, that's another one that we started. We got Ryan, I think, on that one. I forgot all the people that I talked to already. So it's really matching the leaders into the people that we're helping in the clubs. Also within the club mentor and club sponsor, we have some new people who are trying to get into it and some that are experienced. It's really blending the two, not putting all the beginners, club sponsor and club mentor in one group, but some senior and some that are starting, and that's how we blend. We try to give them the guidance as far as we can, but we also believe that if you let them do it, they will thrive. And I think you did thrive. So that's how we match the club sponsors and club mentor.
And I believe even the year that you were club growth director, we thought we had a really good lead. And then all of a sudden it plummeted. I know we're at a red light, but I think we are ahead of time. I just wanted to ask one more question to all of you. I want to talk about challenges when it comes to the club extension committee, club sponsors, and club mentors. And we'll start with Tess, being a brand new club, brand new Toastmaster. What challenges are you seeing or having right now with your club?
I think probably our biggest challenge is that we are a workplace-based club. I mean, there were some political challenges internally at first. It's funded by the organization, and it was originally funded by Stewart's department. We more people outside of that department ended up joining, so they didn't want to be the ones paying for it anymore. So it had to move to our more centralized people and culture department. So there's been some politics behind the scenes with that. I think that related to that, with the organization paying for it, we have members who are engaged, but perhaps not as engaged as if the fees were coming out of their own pocket. So that's another thing as well. I mean, work comes first. It's a workplace-based club, and while we do have organizational support to attend, there is every expectation from leadership that if there's another meeting, that takes precedence. So that's another challenge that we have. It does take place during work hours. There's no appetite for it to take place outside of work hours or for people to be involved kind of on their own time. So that is a challenge.
Well,
I think
hopefully
that.
one, yeah.
Oh,
Hopefully,
sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, hopefully one day we can get them to go on their own time to other events.
Yes, yeah. So far, I'm the only one who's really done anything outside of work hours, but we're working on it. We are another thing to do with the fees and stuff like that. We don't charge a fee to members. The organization pays the Toastmasters fee, so there are no fees for additional things like buttons and banners and all these things I'm just learning about like this week. So there is that. Also, like I said, work priorities. I mean, it does tend to take a back burner. We're a fundraising based organization, and our hot and heavy time is September to December, and it was just a nightmare to try and get enough people to even fill the roles when they were doubling up from September to December. So that's a struggle we will continue to have, and we will need to adapt and just be cognizant of the fact that that's a limitation of our workplace club.
Thank you. And Eugene, what challenges do you see with the extension committee, club committee, and also with the sponsors and mentors from your perspective?
Well, there are many challenges, but one that I can really think of is looking for that volunteers, which I alluded to a while ago. We try to really involve as much leaders in our district as much as possible. And I find that calling and then that cold calls, doing email, I found that really challenging. But the beauty is ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
And if we did not ask, we would not have found some of those leaders that we assigned as club mentor and club sponsor. If we did not ask, we would not have been successful in leading and starting our chartered clubs. If we did not ask, we would have been seen as really just picking on the familiar faces. That is the beauty of that. Ask and you shall receive.
Well, I'm glad I was part of and still am part of the extension club committee. I'm glad I took that leap. I know I was scared, but I did it anyway. And last but not least, Marcy, what challenges do you see as a club mentor and a club sponsor?
Challenges exist even in a current club. I can relate to what Tess said because I'm a member of Fleur Communicators, which is open to also the public. But work always draws people away. I'm very grateful for the corporate sponsorship that occurs within the club that helps us offset some of the costs. But one of the things that I know is the club that I mentored was Heart of the Rockies, and they developed out of a speechcraft that was done with the Calgary Catholic Diocese. And they took a lot of the people that were in their deacons program and were providing this opportunity to enhance their public speaking abilities. And they noticed a real difference between people who joined the club and were participating in it and people that weren't. However, even as volunteers, their duties in their deacon studies took them away from Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a volunteer organization, belonging to it is one, but even serving as the deacons within the Catholic diocese, they had a study program and other things that took them away. All of these things that we need to realize as Toastmasters is life happens outside of Toastmasters. Who knew that? Once you get involved, you sometimes forget that. And it's like, oh, we need you here, we need you there. Therefore, the important thing is to learn to prioritize. How do we, I think both as a club sponsor or as a club mentor, as a Toastmaster, as someone in leadership in the district, whether you're a leader at a club, area, division, or district level, or even at the regional level, how do we prioritize our time and not say yes to too many things? I think the key is learning to say no at times. And I know we have some great examples of people here who say yes and are making a big difference, but they've also learned to establish boundaries and said no at times to create that very important balance that we need as human beings.
I
Thanks,
can totally relate to that. Before we end the session, I would like to ask, is there any questions from the audience that want to ask our panelists? Tessa.
Thank you, Debbie. That was awesome panel discussion, very informative. Now, I do have a question. Let's say, as Eugene said, you have to ask some club members to see if there's any interest in doing the mentors or sponsors. And I was wondering if, when you're deciding if somebody's fit for a club, would you pick, maybe Eugene can answer that, would you pick two people from the same club, or would you try to find different club members or to put them together to mentor a club? I don't know, does that make sense?
Makes sense. So would I pick the same for the same club?
Let's say you
I
have
didn't really,
3 members from same club. Would you put them together on mentoring one club?
I'm not sure if I did that, but I did not really put that into the equation. It's more on how they interact with each other and the level of their leadership. I tried to match that really with the club that we are chartering and sponsoring and mentoring. It's not much of whether they are in the same club. If I see some challenges or some conflicts, maybe I wouldn't have, but I did not really put attention on whether they are from the same club.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any more questions? Oh, I see one here. How do you decide if someone would be better as a sponsor or a mentor? Who would like to take that one on? Eugene?
Sure. I thought Marcy or can take that too, but I can take that. So
Both of you can.
ladies first. Go ahead, Marcy.
Thanks a lot. I haven't had the opportunity to look at the bigger picture that Eugene's experience provides him with. Looking at it just from our club level and the unique opportunity that we have with the RGU communicators is that we looked at who had the experience. Both roles really require a lot of experience. One, the sponsors are going to do a lot of work in setting up the club, all the initial work that goes into chartering, the promotion, setting up the Zooms or the in-person meetings or hybrid meetings. There's a lot of technical and administrative work that's required in that role to be able to obtain to receive the credit for doing that role. Mentorship is another role where you take your experience at a club level and you're helping the new club gain that knowledge base to be able to move forward. And when we were looking at the people to assign to those roles, we looked at who can we move into that role that's got really good experience. In the case of what we're doing, the two people that are going to go ahead and mentor the club have got more club experience and have the ability to help them know how to form all their officer roles, how to get their meetings going, how to have an executive meeting, and they will be helping the new club members in that. Whereas the other two people that we've got as the sponsor are now going to go ahead, and we're the ones that are going to drive the formation of the club in doing that. And that's how we're assigning the roles based on that. It's just logistically makes more sense. I have the background to know the Toastmasters things. Ola is present in Aberdeen and at the university and has the connections to build there. So the logistics help make the decision.
I can add to that one. So there are two things that I differentiate the club mentor and club sponsor. Club mentor are those who will really build the rapport closely with the club. Club sponsor is more on the organization, as Marcy was saying, it's really just putting the paperwork, or not just, but it's the first thing. It's really just organizing and putting and chartering that club. But the mentor is much deeper, where they really build that rapport. And I think you've done that, Debbie, with Tess and the whole group of United Way. Brian has done the same thing on Safeway. And then on Kepler, it's more on the sponsorship. So it's really those two things that I try to match. The mentor is the one who will stay there longer, building the rapport. The sponsor is the one who is there to organize it and have it chartered and stay there for 3 months to 6 months. But the mentor is the one who stays there longer.
Well, thank you very much. Well, thank you, Eugene, Marcy, and Tess for being on my panel today. It looks like we were out of time. I could have asked more questions, probably filled the whole hour, and time flies. Thank you very much, and I will give control back to our Toastmaster, Kathy.
Well,